Okay, so now you know that the harmonic minor scale was made to solve the issue of the natural minor scale not having a leading tone. So naturally, the way a harmonic minor scale is built is simply a minor scale but move the subtonic one semitone up, creating a leading tone. This creates a weird big space between these notes that we haven't seen so far, and also allows that classic dominant feeling to come back, since there is now a proper leading tone that leads us to tonic. This new scale creates a few differences to the minor scale. As you know, all triad chords need a root, a third, and a fifth. Well, these 7 notes are all the root notes in a minor scale, which means that there are only 7 triad chords in a harmonic minor scale. Those chords are the following. Now we'll go over each scale degree and the chord built on top of it. Now I know I just said we would go over each scale degree, but that's a lie, because we already saw most of them. Not all chords in a minor scale are affected by moving the 7th scale degree one semitone up. In fact, only chords 3, 5, and 7 are affected. And out of those, the 5 and 7 are the same ones as from the major scales. So let's quickly go over this new 3 chord before we discuss the real magic behind the harmonic minor scale. Augmented median chord 3. The placement of the median note in this scale is the same as in the natural minor scale, but the chord itself is a lot different. The median chord is made from scale degrees 3, 5, and 7, and since now the 7 is one semitone up, it causes the median chord to stretch and be composed of 2 major third intervals, not one of each like in normal triad chords. This abnormal separation is something we have not yet seen in a scale before. We have, however, seen 2 minor third intervals that create a diminished chord, and well, this is basically the opposite of that. This is called an augmented chord, a chord built from 2 major third intervals, and its notation is the Roman numeral 3 and a plus sign. Like the diminished chord, this separation causes the augmented chords to have an unusual sound that creates a lot of tension, which is the reason why the 3 plus is probably the least used chord in harmonic minor scales. Same way the diminished chord is the least used chord in major scales. I haven't used this chord a lot, so I asked the internet for a description of its sound, and here it is. This chord has a distinctive bright sound that can create a sense of tension and excitement in the music. I don't know if I get that from hearing this, but moving on. And with that, now you know all big 3 types of chords that create tension. Dominant major and minor chords, diminished chords, and augmented chords. Major, minor, diminished, and augmented refers to the status of the chord, while dominant refers to the 5th chord in a major and minor scale. Don't get those terms confused. So naturally, you must be asking yourself, how is this tension different? I have explained, for example, how diminished chords can be used in trap melodies, but that explanation was more about the intervals between some of the notes in these 2 chords and not about the diminished chord itself. I was talking melodically and not harmonically. So to get a final comparison on these 3 main different types of chords that create tension, I did some research and found this. The 2 diminished and 7 diminished chords create tension because they contain diminished fifths, which creates a dissonant and unstable sound that naturally resolves to a more stable chord. The 5 chord creates tension because it is the dominant chord, which is a chord that naturally wants to resolve to the tonic chord. The augmented chord, on the other hand, creates tension because it contains an augmented fifth, which sounds dissonant and creates a sense of ambiguity and uncertainty. Unlike the 2 diminished and 7 diminished chords, which naturally resolve to a more stable chord, the augmented chord does not have a clear resolution, which makes it a particularly interesting and unique chord to use in certain musical contexts. So there you go. Now we can finally move on to the true magic behind the harmonic minor scale. The harmonic minor scale has become a go-to scale for 2 types of melodies: dark, evil trap melodies and Spanish guitar beats. Let me show you why, starting with evil melodies. As you know, a great part of any dark sounding melody is the minor second interval. The harmonic minor scale offers us the possibility to not only use the 2 present in a natural minor scale, but an extra one is created in harmonic minor scales because of the movement of the 7th scale degree. This offers us the possibility to not only go up from tonic to minor second intervals, but also down from tonic to 2 different minor second intervals. This gives us the possibility to go from tonic to this inversion of the 5 chord, to create one of the most classic and efficient evil sounding progressions out there. You may have heard it already in a bunch of NF songs. And the fact that now the leading tone chord is there, unlike in natural minor scales, gives us the chance to add even more tension to this progression if needed. That's because the sound of a minor tonic chord to a leading tone chord creates a special cool sounding tension you just won't ever get in any normal major or minor scale. Here are a few videos deconstructing songs that use this scale to get that cool dark sound. You'll find links to these videos on page 115 on your ebook. Moving on to Spanish melodies. Now honestly, I don't know why this works, but the change from subtonic to leading tone in harmonic minor scales changes everything for guitar melodies. While it does make for a great downward evil sounding tonic to dominant melody, where the harmonic minor scale really shines is here. The inclusion of this leading tone paired with a very classic tonic predominant dominant progression seems for some reason to be a hack to getting this Spanish guitar guitar-sounding melodies. That progression is as simple as it sounds. Tonic or a triad chord using the first scale degree as a root, predominant or triad spelled using the 4th and 2 as roots, and dominant or triad spelled using the 5 and 7 as roots. Of course, these are not all the possibilities, but these are the ones I've seen most commonly used. Also, I want to mention that using a 6th chord here works too. To give you a few examples to support my point and also to help you as inspiration to get started on those Spanish melodies, here are 2 examples of Spanish guitar melodies I really like. And with that, we're done with the extremely long chapter on scales. However, these are not all the scales out there. Like I said before, major and minor scales are actually just 2 modes in a 7-mode family, and the harmonic minor scale is just a minor scale with a small change. There are many scales out there, but I strongly believe these to be the 3 most important, and honestly all I've ever needed. You might want to look into the pentatonic scales if you play guitar. I've heard they are great for coming up with freestyle melodies. Anyway, it's time to move on to the next chapter, more about chords. Before I started talking to you about scales, I had just finished explaining to you how major, minor, diminished, and augmented chords were all the types of triad chords out there. And while that is technically true, those are all the types of chords you can build using the classic 2/3 intervals model. You can make more chords than just those 4 types. Let's start with suspended chords, since those are the easiest to explain. And you'll find this chapter's challenge on page 117 of your ebook.